So here's the thing about Caleb. He's not supposed to be likable. He's a former Cabal lieutenant who spent decades in a dark cult doing things that would keep most people awake permanently. He's not a hero, not even close to even being a good guy. And then Blood opens with his god betraying him, his family taken, and Caleb crawls out of his own grave and just goes with no hesitation. Just pure rage and the occasional Bruce Campbell quote. That's who we're dealing with, and that's what episode 1 was. And if you haven't seen that one, go watch it first. Seriously, come back when you're done, I'll still be here. But if you just finished episode 1 and you're already back, good, because something happens in episode 2 that I did not see coming from this guy. It's not from the horror, not from the spider demons or the frozen dark, or what the Cabal do to a lumber mill when nobody's watching. It's from a line. One line. From the guy I just described as pure forward momentum and zero feelings. That's where this episode is going, and honestly, I've been wanting to talk about it since the second I finished it. So I've loaded up the game. This is episode 2, Even Death May Die.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Chernobog, the dark god, the one that binds, didn't just betray Caleb. He sent his lieutenants after all 4 of the Chosen at the same time. While Caleb was tearing through episode 1, the other generals were already moving. Shial took Ophelia. We all know how that ended. But there were 4 Chosen. Ophelia is gone, and Gabriel is still out there. Gabriel, one of Caleb's brothers in the Cabal, was taken by Shial, the second lieutenant, the mother of spiders, who dragged him into the frozen dark under the earth, where nothing with any sense goes voluntarily. Caleb has a lot of qualities. Sense is not among them. So he finds a rowboat and starts rowing. And what he finds is a ship. Massive, ancient wooden sailing vessel, half buried in an iceberg tilted at the wrong angle. Like it's been slowly sinking for decades and the ice just stopped letting it. And she's called the HMS Victor, named after Dr. Victor Frankenstein. Because in Mary Shelley's novel, the creature runs to the Arctic North to escape civilization. Here's Caleb doing the exact same journey, but in reverse, heading toward the frozen dark instead of away from it. The Cabal are crawling all over this ship. Cultists, zombies, the whole welcome wagon. And Caleb is pulling up in a one-man rowboat with a shotgun and approximately 0 patience for any of it. I want to stop here for a second, because this opening image, it's doing something I love. Episode 1 started with a coffin. Caleb resurrecting inside his own grave. That is a vertical image. Underground, breaking upward and rising. Episode 2 starts with a rowboat on open water. Alone, heading towards something dead and frozen that used to be a ship. That's a horizontal image. Flat, cold, exposed. The whole sky above him and nothing beneath him but water. Monolith didn't do that by accident. These people knew exactly what they were building, and episode 2 tells you what it is in the first 5 seconds, and it never lets go. Everything in this episode goes in one direction. Down. And that title, Even Death May Die, it comes from a line of H.P. Lovecraft's fictional Necronomicon, which is quoted, "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die." Blood is a game soaked in literacy horror. Lovecraft, Poe, Shelley, and naming episode 2 after the Necronomicon is about as on brand as it gets. That one line does a lot of work. It tells you everything about what this episode is before you've even loaded it up. And Caleb fights his way through it. He uses the rigging, all the frozen guts of this dead ship, to crack open a path forward. Episode 1 is a grotesque carnival. So like Dark Carnival, The Phantom Express, Dark Temple. Loud, vivid, almost theatrical in its horror. The way a really good nightmare can be vivid. And episode 2 is different. Episode 2 is cold. Everything here is white, gray, frozen. The colors are drained out. The architecture is ancient and buried. The world feels like it's been dead for a long time. And something wrong is still living in it anyway. Monolith changed the whole tone of the game without telling you. You just feel it the moment Caleb steps off that rowboat onto the ice. The temperature drops, and it doesn't come back up. The Cabal have been busy. They found a lumber mill, an abandoned one, and they've turned it into something considerably more disturbing. A human remains processing plant. The Blood Wiki uses that phrase completely matter-of-factly. Human remains processing plant. Like they're describing a filing system. The machinery, the conveyor systems, all of it repurposed. They took a lumber mill and started running humans through it instead of wood, and didn't even bother changing the equipment. Just redirected it. I love these guys. I hate these guys. They commit to a bit in the most heinous way possible, and somehow I'm still surprised every time. As for Caleb, he doesn't freeze in the doorway. He doesn't retch. He has seen much worse than this, probably done worse. He registers the atrocity, files it under more of the same, and keeps moving. And here's what gets me about that. It's such a deliberate choice for a 97 game. The horror is real, the environment is genuinely disturbing, but Caleb's reaction to it is nothing. Zero. So the horror just lands on you instead. The game puts it on you because Caleb won't carry it. Honestly, I didn't expect a build engine shooter to pull that off, but here we are. From the mill, Caleb pushes on, and here's where episode 2 does something I genuinely didn't see coming. It gives you a hedge maze, a snow-covered hedge maze in the courtyard of a hotel, with cultists hiding in it. Passages that look identical until they don't. No map, no guidance, just Caleb and the frozen hedges and the sound of something moving just behind the next corner. This level is called Rest for the Wicked, and the name is doing a lot of work, because there's no rest happening here. Not for the wicked, and definitely not for Caleb. Just a maze, the dark shapes in the hedges, and at the end of it, a hotel. The Overlooked Hotel. Let me talk about something Blood is doing here that I think is wicked clever, and I don't hear enough people talk about it. So from episode 1, it was loud, grotesque, horror, public, designed to be seen. Very big spaces, very theatrical spaces. Episode 2 is moving Caleb through private spaces in this one. Intimate spaces, a ship entombed in ice, seen by nobody for God knows how long, a mill repurposed behind closed doors, a hedge maze that traps you inside it, and now a hotel. Think about it. Your room, your corridor, your floor. Other guests don't see any of that. Hotels are built for keeping secrets, and the Overlooked Hotel has been keeping some very bad ones. You know The Shining, Kubrick, Nicholson, the Overlook Hotel in the Colorado snow, wrong geometry, secrets in the walls. The building itself as a character that wants something from the people inside it. One of the all-time great pieces of horror cinema, and the reference here is absolutely not subtle. The hotel is even named after it. But here's what's interesting. Blood doesn't just use the reference as decoration. The Overlooked Hotel is an actual location with actual design logic. A reception desk, guest rooms with their own layouts, corridors that connect in ways that make sense until you try to map it in your head, and it stops making sense. The secret passages hidden inside the walls, running between rooms through spaces that shouldn't exist, given the size of the building from the outside. Someone planned those passages, built them in deliberately. Someone wanted to move through this hotel unseen by the guests. Yeah, that's a hotel staff thing. That's not a Cabal thing. The hotel was already wrong before the Cabal got here. And then, and I love this game so much, they put Jack Torrance in the hedge maze. You walk past this figure, and Caleb just says,
"Here's Johnny."
Completely unprompted. In the hedge maze outside the hotel that is named after The Shining, Monolith are having such a good time with this, and I'm right there with them every single second. So, there are tomes hidden throughout this hotel. 5 of them, in fact. Hunt them all down, and 5 marks appear in the floor, 1 for each tome. Like a seal completing itself. A door opens in the center, a way through to the secret level. They're nice. Now, thin ice is not on the critical path. You can skip it entirely and never know it was there. But if you want to see everything Blood Episode 2 is doing, you go. Thin ice is exactly what it says. A cavern of ice cliffs and frozen terrain. And the ice doesn't just look thin, it breaks. You walk across it and it cracks apart beneath you. It then drops you into freezing water with guild beasts in the murk waiting for you to surface in the wrong spot. This level is purely a reward. No story, just Monolith saying, you found all 5 tomes. You went looking. Here's something genuinely gnarly for your trouble. Caleb makes it through, returns to the hotel, and then takes the main path again. And the main path goes the way everything in this episode goes. Down. After the hotel comes the mansion. The Haunting, named directly after the 1963 Robert Wise horror film. It's a 2-story manor, kitchen, garden, library, cellar, indoor pool. The complete package of a place that used to be someone's home before things went wrong. And it is absolutely swarming. This is the level where the spiders show up properly. Not 1 or 2 in a corner, actual infestations. But there's something about the way they move that is wrong. Something about the angle of the legs. Something about how fast they close distance. Something about the fact that they come in groups and the groups are always bigger than you thought they were. Floors that looked empty a second ago suddenly aren't. Here's what the game is doing with these spiders, and I think it's genuinely smart. Shial hasn't appeared yet. She's the boss at the end, but her children are already here. Inside a building, inside something that used to be a human space, and that matters. They're not in the wild, they're inside. She's not just a boss at the end of the level, she's been seeping into everything the whole episode. Her world keeps expanding, and Caleb's been walking into the middle of it without even realizing it, and he's continuing forward regardless. All because Gabriel is there, and that's just not up for debate for him. The way out is through the indoor pool. It's a hidden passage underwater. Dive in and keep going. Then you find the mine, and the world just closes in around you. After that, you come up through the pool and you surface into open air for the first time in what feels like forever. And for 1 second, just one, you think blood is giving you a breather. Yeah, it's blood. Of course it isn't. The Cold Rush is a ghost town sitting on top of a mine shaft. The name is a joke, a play on the words of Gold Rush, that mid-1800s scramble into places like California and Alaska and the Klondike, where desperate people went looking for something valuable in the ground. And you can feel that history here. The half-buried buildings, the equipment left exactly where someone put it down for the last time, the infrastructure of a working settlement built by people who genuinely believed there was something worth finding out here. And whatever they found, or didn't, they're gone now. The Cabal moved in after, the way they always do, finding whatever has been abandoned and making it worse. But even with cultists everywhere, this place doesn't feel like it's theirs. It doesn't feel like anyone's. It's the kind of empty that got here before the Cabal did, and it's going to be here after they're gone too. Quietly, completely, and permanently empty. And right in the middle of all of this is the mine entrance. I want to be honest with you. The first time I hit this level, I stopped for a second before going in, because blood had been doing something to me across the whole episode, and I hadn't consciously noticed it yet. And standing at that mine entrance with the wind cutting across the ice, I noticed I hadn't seen the sky in 4 levels yet. Think about that for a second. The ship, the mill, the hedge maze, the hotel, the mansion, every single one of those spaces was more enclosed than the last. Every time I thought I understood the shape of where I was, the next level tightened it. The walls came in, the ceilings dropped, the corridors got narrower. And it happened so gradually that I never felt it happening. I was just playing the game. Just moving forward, just dealing with whatever was in front of me. Blood closed the world around me, and I didn't even notice until I was standing at the mine entrance in the Arctic and realizing the sky had been gone for hours. And that's what I love about this game. It doesn't put a sign up that says, this is a descent. It doesn't explain what it's doing. It just builds it and trusts that you'll feel it. And you do. You absolutely do. Because by the time you find that mine entrance, the only direction that makes any sense is down. Caleb doesn't hesitate, and neither do you. And that's good game design. And that's great storytelling using the levels. And this came out in 1997. Inside the mine, everything changes. Not the enemies. Cultists are still down here, still making noise in the dark as they do. But the noise sounds different in a tunnel. Sound doesn't carry the same way. It comes from the wrong direction. You hear something move, and by the time you've worked out where it was, it's somewhere else. The world is getting smaller, tighter. The ceilings drop, the corridors narrow, and the further you go, the more the mind stops feeling something people dug and starts feeling like something that was always here. Something the mind just broke into by accident. And then the silk starts appearing on the walls. Just a thread at first. A single strand across a doorway. You walk through it without thinking. Then more. Wisps in the upper corners. Then actual silk. Then the walls themselves start to look wrapped. Like whatever is at the bottom of this has been here so long that the rock and the thing living in it have started to become each other. To become one. I'm not going to pretend that didn't get to me. He's armed. Everything the tunnels had, he took. He just has to keep going. Further than the mine goes. Further than anyone put a shovel. Into the part that was always there. And at the bottom, in a circular cavern cut from the living rock. Walls thick with web and cocoons hanging from every surface. Like something between a nursery and a larder. And there she is. The Blood Manual has a description of Shial. I'm going to read it out because it deserves to be read slowly. The spider demon, Shial, makes her lair deep within the earth in the frozen north. Surrounded by her arachnid spawn, she skulks through the darkness, feeding on those hapless souls who stumble into her cavernous labyrinth or are brought there by her loyal children. Those who fall victim to her learn of true agony as she digests them alive. Digests them alive? She doesn't kill the people she takes. That would be a mercy. Shial is not in the mercy business. He wraps them in silk, keeps them immobile, and she feeds while they experience it. This is what she does. This is what she is. Monolith never makes this explicit. There's no cutscene that checks in on Gabriel. No dialogue. You know all of this just from the manual description of what Shial does. And that knowledge sits underneath the whole of episode 2. And every level Caleb pushes through. Every step deeper, this is what's been waiting at the end. Not a rescue, just the realization that it's already too late again. The game trusts you to hold that weight. It puts the information in front of you early and lets it work the whole time you're playing. Nobody warned me about that going in. I just kept playing and it kept sitting there in the back of my mind. So anyway, he finds the lair, finds her, and says exactly one thing before the fight.
Hey, she-bitch, let's go.
And there it is. Army of Darkness. Sam Raimi. Bruce Campbell. Ash Williams facing the Deadites and choosing to be quotable about it. Caleb is a man who will walk into the lair of this thing, look at it across the cavern, and open with a movie quote. This is why he works as a protagonist. Because the alternative, the gravity, the weight, the appropriate emotional response to everything that has happened up until this point would break anyone else. Caleb just decides not to go there. He quotes the movie, and he fights the spider. There's something almost admirable about that, in the most deeply unhinged way possible. Now here's the thing about this fight, and I find it genuinely fascinating. Shial has no direct attacks. None. She doesn't bite. He doesn't charge. doesn't throw anything at you. What she does is produce other spiders. Dozens of them. Constantly. Red ones and green ones flooding out of her at a rate that keeps climbing throughout the fight. The entire challenge is managing the swarm, while still putting damage on Shial herself. Fire and explosives work best in this scenario. The aerosol can with the lighter if you want to get creative, but you cannot stand still. You will be buried in her spiderlings before you bring her down. That is the whole fight. You versus what she makes. You produces, you manage, you damage, you do not stop moving. And that's not an accident. The fight feels exactly like her nature. You're not fighting Shial directly. You're fighting what she produces while she watches and makes more. She overwhelms. She accumulates. She does to you in the fight that she does to her prey. Keeps adding until you stop. When she goes down, Caleb stands over her still twitching body and delivers the next line.
Along came a spider and sat down beside her and said, "What's in the bowl, bitch?"
Andrew Dice Play, a nursery rhyme taken apart and put back together wrong, which is entirely fitting for Caleb. After that, there is a cocoon on the far wall of the cavern. Large, the shape inside is unmistakably human, and Caleb walks toward it and says something that stops everything cold.
"Forgive me, old friend."
That's it. That's the line I was talking about at the start. That's what stopped me. Pause on that for a moment. This man stops in front of what is left of Gabriel after everything it took to get here, and he apologizes before he does what he's about to do. Because he cannot save Gabriel, he never could. What he can do, the only thing Gabriel can still give him is power. The power to face what is still to come. And the only way to take that power is to reach into that cocoon, remove Gabriel's heart, and eat it. That is metal as fuck.
Truly, truly, I say unto you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you.
And we're back. It's good. It's real good to have the mic back. And I do apologize about the audio quality around about the back end of this video. But I'm gonna recap what's happened so far. In episode 1, Caleb tried to find Ophelia and failed. And now, episode 2, he found the remains of Gabriel and decided to consume the rest, just to get that extra bit of power. And I think in Caleb's sick way, or weird way, that's a farewell to a brother in arms. And episode 3 is going to test harder than anything that we've seen lately. Cerberus is next, a two-headed dog, and it's going to be an interesting one. I want to say a big thank you to every one of you who's joined us here in the underground at the Game Breaker Arcade. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, keep it stylish, my friends.